personal agenda. We are pursuing our own personal ambition, and we are forgetting what is heavy in the heart of the Father. I wonder how we will stand with the apostles of old when we get to heaven. That in their generation, without internet, without microphone, without planes, they used donkeys and they traveled from place to place. They were screaming in the wilderness and they won souls in their thousands. They sat down, wrote gospels that we are reading in our own generation now. We have vehicles, we have planes, we have internet, yet we are not imparting people. How can a generation where there was no telephone, there was no internet, somebody can win 1,000 souls? Peter preached in one day, 3,000 was saved. You are in a generation of internet. In 1 year, you have not been able to win 300 souls. How can you stand with Peter when you get to heaven? I didn't have Google. I didn't have Facebook. I didn't have YouTube. But I preached one day with the same Holy Spirit that you have. And 3,000 souls were won. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have aeroplanes that can travel 4 hours, what we traveled in 6 months, and you cannot win half the soul we won in your lifetime. How will you go to heaven and sit with them and say we are servants of God? A generation must wake up. We must know the things that matter, because we pride ourselves in the things that mean nothing to God. We are too much for you already, all of us in this auditorium. Meanwhile, this is a fragment of the church in Uyo. There are over 100 churches in Uyo with larger than this size that we have here. Why has the city not shut down? He said Philip went to Samaria. One man, he preached Christ there, and the whole city was filled with joy. Philip went to Samaria. He preached Christ there, the whole city. Today we have 12 branches of churches in one city, yet that city is in darkness. This is why we are asking for encounters. This is why we are asking for more, because this is what is in the heart of God. This is what God made the highest sacrifice for. God didn't kill himself for anybody, for anything other than man. God didn't die for anything other than man. When the world was destroyed, he simply recreated it. But when man fell, God dethroned himself. God became a man. God died in order to save man. And the question is, who shall declare his generation? A generation must rise and say, Lord, where you stop, we will take over. Where the apostles stop, we will take over. Where the previous generation stopped, we will take over. You don't need to have a PhD in theology. You don't need to have a master's degree in pneumatology. All you need to do is go and preach to the next person about the love of God, about the faithfulness of God, about the price that Jesus paid. How can you have more than 1,000 discussions with more than 1,000 people and Jesus is not featured? Can you count how many conversations you've had this year? All of us seated here, even those of us who are introversial, we've had more than 1,000 conversations this year with more than 1,000 different people. How many of them are in the kingdom because we spoke to them? What then is the value of your talking? What then is the relevance of your relationship? What then is the value of your presence? A generation must wake up and say, Father, if you are willing to die to save man, then I will live saving men. I will not live without saving men. If men are that important to you, and you will die for them. That's what is heavy in the heart of God. And finally, the third thing that is a burden in the heart of the Father is colonization. Systemic takeover, territorial takeover. Listen, our consciousness must change. It's high time you begin to think differently. You didn't go to the bank for salary, sir. You went to the bank because a witness is needed there. You are not on Facebook because you want to socialize. You are on Facebook because a witness is needed there. You are not in Uyo today because you are seeking greener pasture. See, only slaves travel looking for what to eat. Sons move about seeking inheritance. When you are in Abuja, when you are in Lagos, you are there to bring the government of God to that place. When you are in a school, you are not there as a teacher. Teaching is the platform, but when you get to a school, come with a mindset. I need to bring the government of God to this place. Before I live here, the fear of God must be institutionalized. Before I live here, righteousness must be institutionalized. This is how we must think. He said, go into all the world and disciple them. Your world is your sphere of influence. If you are in the bank, that is your world. If you are in a secondary school, that is your world. If you are in the university, that is your world. If you are on the internet, that is your world. You were sent there to disciple it. If you are in that world, and the will, the government, and the ways of God are not institutionalized, then you don't know why God sent you there. Brothers and sisters, we are missionaries. We are pilgrims. We are ambassadors. We are high commissioners on the face of the earth. That is why we are called the ecclesia. We are not here because we want to be part of what the world is doing. We are here because we want to change the ways of the world. We came as government agents. We came with a law. Why do you think we are wearing suits here? Because some missionaries came from the US, from England. And they impregnated us and institutionalized their culture. Even though they have gone for more than 60 years, we are still living like that. That's why you are driving on the left. That's why you are drinking tea in the morning. That's why you are wearing suits and you feel important. Because some ecclesias came here and they insisted that they will uproot your culture and institutionalize their own culture. And there was nothing you could do about it because they came with authority. They came with an understanding that was superior to yours. They came with weapons that is superior to yours. So when our people came out with arrows, they came with guns. And our people had no choice but to surrender. But after our people surrendered, they entered the project of civilization. They began to teach us English language and uprooted our many languages. In this region alone, you have more than 50 languages. Which of them are you speaking? When you go to the market, you speak English. When you come to church, you speak English. When you go about school, you speak English, because some ecclesias came here. Now, when we were going into the world, God gave us authority. God gave us giftings. God gave us power. The idea behind that authority is not to start churches and build auditorium. The idea behind that authority is to also enter into the world. Where there is fornication, you'll substitute it with holy living. Where there is fear of the devil, you'll substitute it with power over demons. Where there is lawlessness, you'll substitute it with the ways of righteousness. And so when you live there, the people have no choice but to imbibe the culture of heaven as their way of life. This is why we are here. This is why we are scattered, so that we can take system. And so when we come to church as representatives of different constituency. Some come as agents from the internet. Others come as agents from the bank. Others come as agents from the academia. Others come as agents from different realms with different weapons. The guy who is on the internet, his tool may be video editing. The one who is in the university, his tool may be a certificate. The one who is in the bank, his tool may be marketing. The one who is in the government, his tool is canvassing support. But by all means, all of us carry weapons. And so as we go there, we are colonizing the world. We are bringing heaven. And the day we come, if you don't align with heaven, you cannot find a place there. If you don't align with heaven, you cannot participate there, because colonization has taken place. Do you see our government today? If you are not corrupt, you can't win. You know why? Because some dark agents came before we came. That's why, if you like, have the best interest, have the best qualification, have the best strategy, have the best manifesto, they don't care. In the last election, they were making mockery of the righteous man. They say he's a statistician. They presented his record. They say he should go and sleep. It's not statistics they're looking for. You know why? They know that the system is corrupt, and only by corruption will you enter. That's colonization. But God is raising another generation who will change the paradigm, so that if you are corrupt, you can't make it. You are coming to contest for presidency, you are coming to contest for governor, and they are asking you, what is your lifestyle? And then you are wondering, how does righteous lifestyle impact it? The culture has changed. The system has changed. This is why God is raising you. A fire will come upon you today is so that you can take the bank. A fire will come upon you today is so that you can take the government. A fire will come upon you today is so that you can take the universities. Because colonizers, masters, colonial masters are about to rise. Go into all the world. Go into all the world. You know the problem with us? When somebody is on fire, we think we should ordain him as pastor. When somebody is on fire, we think we should name him a prophet. We need very few in church. We need more out there. We need prophets in Senate chamber. We need apostles in governmental corridors. We need prophets in the stock market. They can look at the stock and they know the one that we sell next week. And that's how money transfer will take place, through divine wisdom, through divine favor. And when they get the money, they advance God's agenda. That's where you need the prophet. See, we have too many prophets on the altar. That's why we don't know what to do. We are fighting ourselves. We have too many apostles on the altar. That's why we don't know what to do. We are drifting towards sentiment and attacking ourselves. We need more prophets in the market. We need more apostles in the market and in the government. You don't know what is happening. Sometimes you go to the market to negotiate. Somebody is carrying a life tortoise on his chest, because there is a realm beyond certificate. There's a realm where a demon needs to whisper to you. You can go into the market, you are competing with somebody, he shakes you and paralysis hits you, because he wants to kill you and take you out of the competition. That's how the market works. This is why new functionaries must go to the market. That when you are talking, they look at you, they know where you are going, and they will ask you one question, it will counter you. When you shake them with paralysis, the power will move and come back, and the person that shook you will fall down. They will say, where are you from? You will say, I'm from Mount Zion, the city of the living God, from the realm of innumerable company of angels, to the place where the spirit of judgment made perfect dwell. I came from the household of God. I am a witness to my generation. I am an envoy of my generation. I am an ambassador of my generation. Help that brother. That's what we are talking about. See, because we don't understand how to take over this world, we are always running to join. So the people of the world are on internet after 20 years before the church is realizing it. The people of the world are already billionaires in cryptocurrency before the church is realizing it. I'm not saying apostles and pastors to come and teach crypto. No, there's a place to do it. But I'm saying the church cannot be left behind. We shouldn't be joining what the world is starting. We should initiate it. But we are the prophets that will go to heaven and download civilization. We are those prophets. We are those prophets. We are those prophets. The people of the world dominated movie scene and turned the movie industry to a ground of seduction and adultery and immorality before the church wakes up. And so they create, they take over, they corrupt before we now come in to compete with them. See, we need prophets that can look at tomorrow and say in the next 10 years they won't use screens anymore. We need prophets that can look at tomorrow and say in the next 10 years they won't use notes anymore, so that they give the church strategic intelligence on how to get ahead of their generation. This is how you colonize. You're colonized by superior wisdom. You're colonized by authority. You're colonized by power. You're colonized by strategies. Things that makes you indispensable in the market until you become the leader.